To me, I had three what I felt like were the biggest reasons the Seahawks won. There are a bunch of reasons, but the three biggest ones for me, number one was the defense overall, and specifically the secondary. I just thought safeties, corners, the linebackers had a great game. I thought they had a really, really good game, and they were flying all over the place. They were aggressive. They were violent, but they got put in really bad spots. You look at the first interception. The Broncos have the ball at the Seahawks 20.
Yeah.
They're already starting in the red zone. You held them to a field goal. And then you had the muffed punt. They started that drive at the 9, the Seahawks 9-yard line, and held them to a field goal. So two catastrophic moments where you're going, oh, my goodness, this is going the wrong way. And this who saw this coming? It just mistakes being made. And they were able to hold them to 6 total points on both of those. That, to me, was absolutely massive.
Yeah, remember they had the sudden change after the Singleton interception, and the first play was like an 8-yard run. They were like on top of it. So it was like from that point forward, though, they really came together and held them, as you said, to field goals. So yeah, guys just flying around, and it was so different to see that compared to what we've seen. I remember last year. It was like a ripple effect, like the defensive line would react, and then the linebackers would wait for them to react, and then the secondary. And now this defense is totally different. Everybody is just on the snap of the ball, just flying to their assignments. And we'll get to the tackling, later, but I thought that was another big part of it, how you just saw guys, they were like hornets just attacking these the ball carriers. So, yeah.
Those two moments, though, I mean, that could have gotten ugly quick.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. They start in the red zone, and then they're in the red zone again at the 9, and 6 total points. I mean, that's a huge victory for a defense, man, being put in that position and to keep them out of the end zone. And I said something about it on Twitter, and somebody was like, ooh, they even did it against Bo Nix, like big deal. Hey, man, those are pros over there. Those are pros that are starting 9 yards away from the end zone. I don't give a damn who was quarterbacking. I give them kudos for what they were able to do and limit the damage and the bad spots they were put in. The time of possession was really uneven for a while. In that first half, the defense was on the field a lot.
Yeah,
and I was really impressed how they came out and they held their composure. They kept their composure. They were out there for a long time. First game of the season, you always talk about there's being in shape, and then there's football shape, and you see fatigue happen a lot quicker in the first week of the season. And I was very impressed with what they were able to do.
It's another coaching point there that Dodson just talked about that just continues to amaze me with Mike Macdonald, because all the teams that I was on, I don't ever remember all of a sudden a coach screaming out, sudden change, and then, hitting you with that in practice.
Yeah.
Usually it's just like, hey, beware of this. If you're on the sidelines in 1992, there was lots of sudden change.
What was it, the half Gatorade?
Gatorade glass. Yeah, you would spike the remaining on the sidelines and go back in. But, yeah, I don't remember any coaches ever doing that. And I've seen him do that out there, where every once in a while they'll be in an offensive period and all of a sudden he'll scream out sudden change, and all the starting defenders have to go out there and try to stop a play. So it's amazing all of the different little things that Mike Macdonald thinks about. And I think that's why he's kind of quiet, because his mind is always going. So, I love that. And I love that Terrell Dodson mentioned that. And I mentioned something later that, like I said, we'll talk about with the tackling mentality. But it's cool to see some of these things that are just different that Mike Macdonald does.
Yeah, to me, defense was the star of the day. They are the reason you won that game, the biggest reason, that they were able to limit the damage when you had what was happening with the offense and the O-line, and we'll talk about that. But number 2 for me was the running game. Ken Walker had 19 total yards in that first half. It was a bad first half of football for the offense. He had 81 yards and a touchdown in just the third quarter alone. And to me, you've talked about how demoralizing it is to be on the other side of that when a team just keeps running the ball and it's just 4 yards, 3 yards, 6 yards. They're just punching you in the gut all the way down the field. And then for him to do what he did, 81 yards in that quarter, and then the 23-yard touchdown run to cap it off. He's soaring through the air like an arrow. I think he leapt from like the 5-yard line.
That was awesome to watch.
I was
It really
almost like, did he jump too soon? Is he going to make it?
Well,
Does
and
a little
also,
forward roll, and
I thought
beautiful.
his momentum was going to take him out of bounds too, and somehow he was able to get north and south. So, yeah, I love that. I thought Walker, he's a guy we didn't see very much in the preseason, and we did see that he's a much stronger player. You look at his lower half down, like you can see noticeably it's different, and he's quicker, and he was hitting it through some of the tiniest gaps, and that's just having faith in your offensive line. And you could imagine after sitting back there and watching that first half of football, you might start to maybe not have confidence in your offensive line after some of the things you saw, and he did. He just ran through those tiny little slivers of space on the line there, and had confidence that it was going to be there. So I love that about him. That's different. Look, he's always been good and shifty, but I think this year, because of his strength, and he's just more confident, and he seems to believe in these guys, and I thought it really showed up for him getting over 100 yards.
Yeah, and the part of that needed to happen was the O-line getting it together. I mean, it was just, again, dreadful first half. They figured it out, as they like to say. We made adjustments. I don't know what they were, but they made adjustments. And more importantly, the O-line and Geno. Geno got off to a bad start. He took that sack, throws the pick. There are a couple times where I looked at him going, okay, you're aware the O-line is a sieve right now. You got to get rid of that ball quick. And he would, there's part of you going, yeah, I like that he's hanging in there trying to let a route develop or trying to find something, but also, boy, you got to know what's happening with the line in front of you and get rid of the ball, dude. Just get rid of it. So there were just a couple moments like that. But the point being, the line, Geno, bad start. There was no panic. There was no panic. Yeah. They figured it out. They got it going in the second half, and they very easily could have, started, as you said, started to doubt themselves, started to panic a bit, and maybe try to force some things that weren't there.
I think Geno, maybe we don't give him credit for being as wise as he is. I mean, he really is a great leader, and you hear that from everybody you talk to. But that comes from him. I mean, he was the guy that could have freaked out.
Yeah.
After he was under siege. I mean, a number of times. And then, later on, he ends up getting the long run, which was the longest run in his career. But, I just thought he just had a calming presence. And he called everybody up on the sidelines. I think it was like in the middle of the second quarter, maybe. And I was looking down there, and I thought, maybe he's going to be screaming and yelling. He was just having a conversation. Really, I mean, he was incredibly calm, and I feel like there was a lot of guys that were kind of freaking out over there, especially on the offensive line. And then you get, the Fant injury, and then, and they changed some things. Like in the first half, I always complain about, like, in a short yardage situation, or you're trying to get out of, a situation where you might take a safety. Any kind of running play that goes sideways just drives me crazy. The other thing is they had some mismatches. That Jonathan Cooper guy was a beast, and they had Fant blocking him a couple of times. So they made, those little adjustments, I think, were key. And then just making sure that that everybody is calm and able to just, forget about the past, just flush it and move on. And that's what I saw from Geno. I was really surprised. I looked down, I guess not that surprised, but I know he's a good leader. But when he called everybody up, and I looked down there with my binoculars, I'm like, I expected him to be pissed off and screaming and yelling, and he was having a very calm conversation with his offense. So, yeah, kudos to Geno. I agree with you. The no panic, and especially from Geno, that was key.
Yeah, those were the three biggest reasons for me: defense, specifically the secondary, the running game in the second half, and then just offense, Geno, O-line, keeping their composure. I couldn't imagine a worse start. First two plays, sack, interception, just dreadful. So it could have gone the wrong way.